Did you know that there are over 40,000 airports in the world, each with its own unique three-letter code? From JFK in New York to CDG in Paris, these codes are more than just random letters. They're part of a well-organized global system that keeps air travel running smoothly. While some of these codes make perfect sense, others seem totally random. Let's rewind to the 1930s. Back then, flying was still a novelty, and airports were few and far between. To keep track of cities for weather reports and flight planning, the National Weather Service created a simple two-letter code system. It worked for a while, but as air travel boomed in the 1940s, the aviation world quickly realized that two letters weren't enough. There were too many airports and not enough codes. With just 676 combinations, they needed more options. So they switched to three letters, which bumped the choices up to 17,576 combinations. This change gave them more room, more flexibility, and far fewer mix-ups. Now, how do they pick which letters go where? For some airports, it's pretty simple. Take MIA for Miami International Airport or LAX for Los Angeles. Straightforward, right? They just use the first three letters of the city's name. Or close enough. Take ORD for Chicago O'Hare. You'd expect something like CHI or OHR, but O'Hare didn't always go by that name. It was originally named Orchard Field, and when the airport first got its code, they used the ORD from Orchard. Even though the name changed later, the code stuck. In the 1960s, as air travel became more global, there was a need for a unified system to avoid confusion across borders. The International Air Transport Association, or IATA, is the organization responsible for creating and managing these airport codes. Their system is simple. Whenever possible, they try to match airport codes to the city name, like CDG for a Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, or JFK for New York's John F. Kennedy International. But it's not always that straightforward. If the obvious code is already in use by another airport, IATA has to get creative. Then, there are codes that leave you puzzled. Take MSY for New Orleans. What's that about? It actually stands for Moisant Stockyards, after the stockyard where the airport was built, which was owned by aviator John Moisant. Even though it's named after jazz legend Louis Armstrong, it kept this unique, stockyard-inspired code. And then there's EWR for Newark Liberty International. Why not something simpler, like NWR? Well, the U.S. Navy reserves all the N codes, so Newark ended up with EWR. In Canada, most airport codes start with a Y. For example, Toronto's code is YYZ, because many Canadian airports originally used Y to indicate a nearby weather station. This convention has remained in place over the years. Most of us recognize the IATA codes, the three-letter codes on our boarding passes. But there's also a second, more technical code system called ICAO codes. These codes might not mean much to passengers, but they're essential for pilots, air traffic controllers, and flight crews to keep everything on track. These codes are a key part of the air travel system. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more content. And let us know in the comments, what's the strangest airport code you've ever come across? We'd love to hear your thoughts.